is like a hearse. You die to get in again. We are so far from you. Burning on, just like a matches, try to incinerate the lives of everyone you know.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Thom and Joe Show. My name is Thom,
My name is Joe.
and we've reached another numbered episode. Woo!
Yes, at last, after
At last.
the summer of anniversary stuff.
yes, the summer anniversary stuff, which has been fun. We have one anniversary episode which will come out before this, and then we have one more anniversary episode which will come out after this, where we talk about Pink Floyd's The Wall, which should be interesting. Anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of theatrical albums, we are talking today about My Chemical Romance's second studio album, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, released on June the 8th, 2004. So, another album that celebrated an anniversary this year.
But it's not an anniversary album.
This is not an anniversary album. We are some 4 months late plus. So yes, I feel this is going to be an interesting episode because, and this is just me being perhaps this I feel is going to be a very me episode because I don't know why I've got it to my head, Joe, that this is not really your sort of thing.
It isn't, and I have to do it in a way that's not going to make people mad at me because this group of bands, like, once you say something, it sets off people. Like, like my wife is very into all, like, my Chemical Romance, you know, Panic at the Disco, that kind of thing. But it's just like, it was during a period when I was kind of getting away from popular music just because I don't know, it didn't have anything for me at this point, and this was a response to a certain movement that I didn't like in the first place. I mean, I had nothing against it, but it was just like wallpaper. Like, this feels, at least this album feels like a specific response to the early pop of the 2000s, which is like Sum 41, Vertical Horizon, and you could definitely hear, like, No Doubt's Ex-Girlfriend in this album specifically, like that kind of, like, fast Blink-182 rhythm guitar rock, but this was taking it to somewhere else, and I'm already got people mad at me. It's like, it's nothing like those things. It's nothing.
God, yeah.
Go listen to No Doubt's Ex-Girlfriend and tell me this wouldn't fit like as a response album or response song to this album, because it would.
God, yeah. So I think we need to start with the first thing. So this album, and obviously all those bands that Joe have sort of listed, those tend to get lumped into the emo sort of like thing. And now emo takes its turn from emotional hardcore, which is essentially, I think, bands like, you know, the best band I can think of describing as emo is actually a band called American Football. And American Football are what probably nowadays would go under the term of like math rock. It's that very, you know, stuff like, you know, as I said, like, you know, like, you know, as I said, if you ever heard American Football, they have this very particular guitar sound where it's very, you know, it's not it's sort of like, you know, a continuation from, I think, sort of the 90s sort of guitar rock from particularly the UK, where it is that very, but it's very intricate and it's very sort of thing, and obviously the lyrics are, as you may have guessed, you know, very emotionally driven. And sort of what happened in the 2000s is they go, oh, these bands gesturing at Panic at the Disco, My Chemical Romance, Blink-182, etc. Well, is it, Blink-182 sort of like, obviously I think belong to a certain earlier thing. So I think certainly there is obviously, Blink-182, No Doubt, etc. Sum 41 are really sort of, I suppose, what we're nowadays called, probably in a very sweeping and very blanket term is skate punk. It's very
skateboard rock. It is.
Yeah. This is on the
like it's similar to this. You could imagine somebody skateboarding to the music.
This is on the Tony Hawk soundtrack. that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And if it's not, it probably should be. So obviously, we're not going to get into that because we are not musicologists, and I think MCR particularly were a band to then separate themselves and go, yeah, we were never emo. This is what we got pitched. We're not getting. We've had discussions about genre. Genre is a complicated thing. So I think we start at the beginning. Who the fuck are My Chemical Romance? For those living under a rock. We have to start with 9/11 of all things.
Yes.
Yeah. So the band is formed by Gerard Way, who obviously we mentioned a little bit in the Killers episode where he's like, full disclosure, this is one, if you cannot tell from my slight enthusiasm, this is one of my favourite bands of all time. I am very annoyed that I never managed to get the tickets for Milton Keynes. I will see this band one day, god damn it. Anyway, right. It is 9/11, and Gerard Way is working as an intern for I believe Cartoon Network, and obviously Gerard Way, sees this world-changing event and goes, I'm gonna start I can't be bumming around working for Cartoon Network as an intern doing things like, obviously, doing things like this. I want to do something. I want to start a band.
I can't be putting Aqua Teen Hunger Force advertisements around New York that get mistaken for bombs.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was involved in that, but that is a thing in New York City that Cartoon Network did, and it did not go over well.
Yeah, like he basically, so basically he was working in that sort of thing, and it basically went, kind of need to do something slightly more important. So he starts a band with he starts a band with a drummer called Matt Plessier, who's on this album. This is the last album where he plays, because obviously he's replaced by Rob Breyer for the really big album, which we will talk about at some point, but not on this episode. He brings in a friend called Ray Toro, who is actually, because obviously Gerard Way cannot play guitar and sing at the same time, brings in his younger brother Mikey Way on bass, and then they go and record an album called I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me My Love, which should indicate sort of what band this are. I have got that. That was a very difficult CD to get hold of for a long time, because it was basically done as an indie record. It was a sort of back in the days before everything was on the internet. I have an original pressing of I Brought You My Bullets, which would indicate how long I've been into this band. So anyway, they basically then and the best way to describe I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me My Love, which I'm just going to call Bullets now, because obviously otherwise I'm just going to be like, that long title every single time.
It's like talking about Fallout Boy titles.
Yeah,
it's just
like, there's a lot of long titles on this. It is raw. It's sort of like, it is very sounds like post-hardcore. It is a rough album, and I fucking love it, and it's great, and it's like, it is very much the sound of four people making a lot of noise. And it's a concept album about vampires.
Okay. And like the Wikipedia says, like this album they were moving away from their screamo origins, and I can just imagine.
Yeah. Gerard Way can hella scream. I will wax lyrical about Gerard Way's singing range. So it's basically, these are two people who get, and yeah, it's a concept album about vampires because this is the first foot forward that MCR go. They go, we're gonna do a concept album about vampires, and it's a good record. As I said, I feel it overshadowed by the next two records. On additional guitars, they also bring in a guy called Frank Aero, who then joins the band for Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge. They then get signed to a major label because basically at this point I think everybody was getting signed to a major label, which is Reprise Records, which of all things was started by Frank Sinatra, so he had more artistic freedom. It was like a very strange, record label, and they basically, for much of the 70s and much of the 80s, it was like basically the sort of the weirdo label. You get like stuff like Tiny Tim, Ry Cooder, Frank Zappa on it, and it was like they didn't really know what to do with this label. And that's the label that MCR ended up on. Right. Have I missed anything? Yeah, so that's basically the band's potted history up to Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, which was the major label debut. Where should we start with this? Because like the sound of this or the packaging of that, I want to talk about the cover.
Okay,
the
go
cover
ahead.
is bloody hell. This is one of the most iconic covers of like the last 30 years, and there are all of the art for this album and a lot of art for MCR generally is done by Gerard Way. He draws comic books. He is mostly, probably in the last sort of like 5 to 10 years, I think probably more famous for doing the comic books than the My Chemical Romance thing. Yeah, so it's ironic because actually like I got into like a couple of the comics, particularly Umbrella Academy, which is basically obviously now become like a big thing.
Netflix, it'll do that.
Netflix, yeah.
Or it will cancel you after 2 seasons.
Yeah, without really knowing, I went, okay, it's a comic. And it's like, I'm reading this, and obviously I got the comic from the library, and I'm reading this, and I'm going, hang on a minute, this authorial voice closes comic, stares at front, Gerard Way, fucker. The fuckers everywhere. I mean, this is the sort of like the sensibility, like, so he obviously did comic, but he's done comics, he's done other things, he's done like really, strange. I mean, he did something called Milk Wars, which was like, set in the DC universe, but very strange and like, sort of thing. It bears repeating that like he's an acolyte of like Grant Morrison, who is very strange bloke. He's also the guy who created Penny Parker. One of the Spider-Man characters. The Spider-Man characters end up in
the Spider-Verse. The
Spider-Verse. So yeah, that's a very strange thing to consider. Yeah, so that's sort of like, so the artwork of this is iconic. The particularly the really, that cover I have seen parodied, referenced, referred, like, I'm one of these people who like occasionally will go and buy like, one day only t-shirts, I'm not going to mention any of the things because then I've got to mention all of them, but the number of like parodies of the cover of, My Ex-Romance, oh look, it's the two people from the front cover of Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge kissing, oh my god, this cover. Yeah. So
and to me, it just reminds me of Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne.
I mean, yeah, that's a game I've never actually played. Yeah, so the visual element of this is really quite striking, and all of the single covers, I think, with the exception of Ghost of You, which obviously uses a still of the music video, and Helena, which uses a still of the music video, is art by Gerard, because this guy draws a lot, and etc. The sound of this is something quite complicated to talk about, without really. So the My Chemical Romance, for those like not quite aware, are from New Jersey, and there is particularly like a a lot of Sonic like stuff that, but particularly they sound like the Misfits, who are also from New Jersey. But I mean, what is you got obviously like a slightly different Sonic template to me, Joe. What would your view on the sound of this?
This specific, like I said, this specifically is post, like it's a response to the early 2000s pre 9/11 pop, which was kind of heavier, kind of more Tony Hawk soundtrack. But it's the Tony Hawk, but it's like it's bitter. It's it's angry. It's it. I mean, I don't want to use emo because it gets thrown around by people who just want to instantly dismiss things. And I believe looking through, like, Gerard Way has an issue with calling this band emo, even though he calls one of the songs on this album emo punk. So there's a flirtation with it, I think. Yeah, there is the heavy rhythm guitar that just prevails over most things. Yeah, and there is like like I said, I don't want to lump these bands together like I will lump Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy together because the vocalists sound almost exactly the same, even though people are offended now because they are nothing alike as far as vocalists and like their origins. Like the lead singer of My Chemical Romance, but Panic at the Disco is like a trained like stage singer. Is a trained stage, and the singer of Fall Out Boy is just this little guy in the back who is clearly not the person writing the songs. But they both have this like really catty attitude, and you have to like. Fall Out Boy is more of a straight rock band, and Panic at the Disco more uses like stage and big band, and like I don't want to say sampling, but it uses because like we just did Dummy, and like they'll Portishead will get in your face about them sampling because they just recorded the vocals and then played them, not the vocals but the instruments, and then played them back to get that scratchy sound. Like My Chemical Romance is at least different in that they are like more of a punk band. Like over there, My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, they are rock bands. This is like more punk, and it follows like similar things, like the things where in 2004 they'd be insulted if you compared them to like Blink 182. Because that stuff was going out of style and this was coming in. So it's just like, it's kind of this weird collision of like, I'd say like Death Cab for Cutie and Blink 182. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can definitely hear the Death Cab for Cutie, because definitely I can hear that element. The sense from my perspective, because I was very much into a lot of this music. Well, the first Panic at the Disco album is fantastic in my opinion, and then they massively drop off. I can just see the fruit flying towards me. Brandon Urie is a very good vocalist, but he's like, there is a, like Brandon Flowers, there is like a level of artifice to it where it's like, how much of this is, this is a guy who can, do the whole theatrical thing, which, obviously MCR would do on the next album to great effect.
He's a showman.
There is a sense of, there is a showman thing, but there are elements of, even the first Fall Out Boy album, the first Panic at the Disco album, which do not sound like 4 guys in a room making, 4 to 5 guys in a room playing instruments. There is, string quartets and other sort of things, going on this. Whereas, and Fall Out Boy, to an extent, very much, but Fall Out Boy, sort of, I don't really feel ever sat quite right in this camp. There's their lyrics are very arch, and the sonic sort of sound of them is falls into this camp occasionally, but they never sort of sat full in this camp, I think, compared to, and obviously, both of those bands went off and did very electronic things as of late. They basically, Panic at the Disco ended up with Brandon Urie and, basically Brandon Urie, basically just shedding members. I mean, for various reasons, but yeah. Whereas MCR always sounded like, a bunch of guys making, even on things like, Welcome to the Black Parade, which is just massively, overblown sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're, it sort of has that same sort of scalability. Ironically, I think Green Day sort of also sort of found, round about the same period, give or take a year, when they went and made an album called American Idiot, and it's like,
I like this better than American Idiot. I do not like American Idiot. It's maybe just because I was an intern at an anime magazine, and I was working in the back where all the storage is, finding things, sorting things, sending things. And every day it's I walk around, that was every day of my life in 2005.
You know what this means, man? This needs a 10 or 11 minute suite, which is several songs stuck together. Yes, Billy Joe. Yes, it does. I would just be... the thing is, I always... I love the Black Parade a bit, but the Black Parade, the tongue is so far in the cheek, it's like, there is a sense with, MCR, they were very, and I think that obviously, with somebody who obviously came from an arts and design background, there was always this sense of, like, being sort of self-aware, which I feel some other bands of the genre sort of, like, did... to the point of like being almost very arch, or some bands just did not get the idea, Anyway, that's the general thing. So again, this is a concept album.
I will say about My Chemical Romance just very quickly. They do wear their inspirations on their sleeve more than the other bands, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying they ripped it off, but especially in the Black Parade, like there's the very Pink Floyd aspect, and in this album there is an interlude that is very Radiohead.
Oh god, yeah. And that's the thing. I don't mind that. That's
No, I don't mind it either. They are themselves. They are not trying to be anybody else. It just pops in there occasionally, where the other bands they try not to, or they try to be themselves, but that My Chemical Romance is fine. It's like, we listen to these and we like these things, and there's no problem with it, and there isn't.
No, the end, for example, which is like, as you said, is basically the Pink Floyd, is in the flesh, ? And in the flesh, ! Basically done as high camp opera. It's like, we will have to do the Black Parade at some point, because I think it is like, it's in the top 5 of my favourite albums of all time. I love this band to bits, and the Black Parade is like I feel is the high tide. This is a fantastic record, but it has this sort of big sibling, younger sibling sort of energy going on with the Black Parade, I think. Where it's like overshadowed by the cooler, more theatrical, band leader wearing jacket younger sibling.
Yeah.
Because, there's like, Anyway, so this is a concept album. The concept of this is, best described. I think the direct quote, I think, is going to be, 1 second. Which I should have done at the beginning. Anyway. It's the story of a man, a woman, and the corpses of 1,000 evil men. Hijinks ensue.
Drake and the 99 Dragons. Wait.
Yeah. No. So where should we start with this? Because the concept of this is loose. Like, the Black Parade actually has a concept, and everything is connected to the concept, and this is sort of loosely.
This does not match the concepts so much. I mean, it's very loose, but like. Like, the concept is this guy died and he got to hell, and the devil found out that, you know, he has this woman he loves. So
Yep.
he has to, like, kill all of these people to get back with her. That is not the feeling I get when listening to it. The feeling I get is this was a relationship that ended harshly, and this guy is going through every layer he can of, you know, the breakup, but it's just like as a revenge thriller.
Yeah.
And he wants to put revenge on it feels like he wants to put the revenge on the woman herself instead of all of these people. I don't.
Yeah.
That's
So
the drift I get.
So the general concept, yeah, I would totally agree with that. I do not think it is very much of a stretch to go. The woman represents drugs and substance abuse. Gerard Way had a massive substance problem between recording, like doing the whole, you know, bullets thing, touring bullets, getting addicted to coke and alcohol, and then sort of, you know, getting clean again. So yeah, I don't know whether it's like, I think we might be getting into sort of, you know, hyperbole, but there is definitely some songs where it can be read very easily as the woman represents addiction. It's
there is a certain malice towards this person as much as there is love.
Yeah. Shall we start at the beginning as we usually do with these albums?
Okay, we shall.
Yep.
And I need to restore.
Yes.
Restore my. If you didn't notice, I had a blue screen of death in the middle of the first 10 minutes.
I've edited it out. It's fine. Joe has survived.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Helena.
Track numero uno. This is about the brother's grandmother. Yeah. So obviously, you know, there is, you know, Gerard has gone on record. I think his interviews are far more interesting than, you know, what are we going to say here? But, you know, their grandmother was like a major presence in their early childhood, where they were living in Newark, New Jersey. So yeah, if you couldn't tell, they were from Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah, he has the secret accent of somebody from New Jersey, not the New Jersey, but he has the yas.
Yes.
Kraz.
Yeah.
And you will hear that, and like Todd in the Shadows, like one of his worst songs from like a couple of years ago was Under the Surface from Encanto, and who had the same the singer had the same with Under the Surface. And that's just like, oh, surprise, even though she was born in Miami, she went to Rutgers and lives in New York City now, and Rutgers is in New Jersey. So yeah, it's one of those secret that I don't know, just like ways people speak fascinates me. I'm not making fun of it. It's just like there are weird signifiers of where you're from. Like I don't think I have an accent as far as an American, but Midwestern, it is like the cleanest accent. But there are signs like when I say something or nothing, it cuts off the G, and that's the biggest signifier of where, you know, I'm from. So those little things fascinate me.
Yeah. So this is the album opener. This is very much, you know, the statement of intent, because it goes from that sort of, you know, the really low instruments, you know, the sort of you know, the monotone vocals to, this is you know, very loud and very angry, and apparently takes influence from Iron Maiden's Aces High, which is a very strange cut until you realise like how unrepentant a metalhead Gerard Way is. So this is a fantastic opening track, and you know, this is like the sonic template of what we're getting, and
this is pretty much like 70%, 5% of the songs you're going to hear in this.
Yeah. Dynamics. Dynamics. Immediately, just the guy, like, I'm gonna take my hat. Gerard Way's lyric abilities as a lyricist is really underrated. You know, it's got like this album is full of like the sort of quotable lines that every teenager about my age scribbled somewhere in a notebook margin or on a text, you know, a book cover, you know, because, you know, it's deep poetry, you know. I'm mocking it, but like, fuck me, you know, this is like, you know, so, you know, the things, you know, if you carry on this way, the better things are better if I say so long and good night, you know. That is like,
so love your good night.
so long you love your good night, you know. This is like this was like the first big single. This obviously went, you know, top 40 in the American chart. This is, you know, this is their basically arrival on the scene. The music video is also great, very much, you know, that sort of dramatic style. Jesus, emo, I will say this, like the emo and this sort of general sort of thing did love, you know, very messed up, you know, funeral wedding dynamics, because obviously you've got the the obviously the Panic at the Disco song, which obviously, you know, What a Beautiful Wedding, you know, yeah, which I can't remember the flipping title of. The random factoid is that Helena is played by the daughter of an NFL coach, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Wade Phillips, whoever. Joe, you probably you wear your sports hat. I don't know who this is.
He wasn't super big.
No, but it's just like
no.
random factoid.
He coached. Let me see here.
Apparently the Broncos.
He coached the Los Angeles Rams, the Denver.
And the Houston Roughnecks, which I don't recognize the name of, which probably means they're defunct.
UFL.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
So he is an old coach.
Oh boy. Anyway, that's just a random fact. We always like float into random factoid territory. That's you know, it is very much, you know, the visual thing I will also say for this tour is like you know, the appearance of MCR in this era is under fucking rated, because it's like very much, you know, that sort of black tie, you know, black shirt, red tie sort of thing, you know, and it's like it looks fairly cool. It's, you know, that is, you know, they were always, particularly obviously the again the Black Parade era, you know, the visual visual impact of like a lot of that on, you know, again, kids of my age is underrated. This is a good song. This is not my favorite song on the album. You know, you will actually be surprised what my favorite song on the album is. We'll get to it. Dramatic.
You will
really
not
good...
be surprised. My favorite song is the one that sounds like most not like the rest of the album.
Interesting. We shall have to wait and see what that is. Yeah, great track. Very much, you know, this is the statement of intent. This is the, you know, we are going to make an impact, and they did. And this was like this went to the top one in the UK. I mean, you mentioned earlier, Joe, that you had an opinion that they were bigger in the UK than in America.
It feels like it. It feels like it, at least from the charts stand. Because there was the sense in America that you could like avoid My Chemical Romance if you wanted to.
Not so much in the UK.
Not so much in the UK.
Let's just get this out of the way. The UK press hated My Chemical Romance because, like, this was in a period where, like, I think, as usual, the Daily Mail goes, "Oh no, they're a death cult," and it's like, this culminated in basically when they played Reading around the Black Parade era, the entire audience being, you know, chanting "fuck the Daily Mail," which I mean is an evergreen concept, and generally, but yeah, the Daily Mail was convinced that like emo was a death cult. It was like, you know, oh, this is these dangerous Americans coming over here, you know, convincing our children to self-harm. It was genuinely, that was their, you know, their opinion, and you know, I can't remember it ever actually went anywhere, because I think there was like indications of, yeah, this is genuinely like getting into libelous territory. you are affecting, you know, what is ultimately Warner Brothers' bottom dollar by going, oh no, these bands are really evil. These New Jerseyites are coming over here and you know, convincing our children to do unpleasant things. They're introducing, you know, this amorphous sexuality. You know, it was genuine. I mean, the Daily Mail will turn any band that like is a little bit outside of, you know. I mean, I think they've even like Oasis got the wrath of the Daily Mail, which would indicate like how very not normal the people who write the Daily Mail are. Anyway.
Well, also, like, British press will, like, latch on to anything that gets them attention and will, you know, milk that to death.
Yeah.
Not to say the U.S. press doesn't do that either. They will.
Yeah.
But, like, the British has, like, British press kind of has, like, a monoculture of it. Like, they are just vultures is the reputation I get from it.
Yeah. Oh no, very much so. To repeat, fuck the Daily Mail.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, track number 2. So this is a fun thing. We're gonna go a little bit back and forth in my chronology with the band. This was my first encounter of MCR. So it was a cover mount CD of, I think it was up and coming American punk, alternate rock from the US, and I think it had a couple of things. They had Alkaline Trio on there, which is another band that MCR get compared to on occasion. And you know, it had a track on it, and the track was "Give 'Em Hell, Kid," and little me put this on and went, "Holy shit, what is this?" Because it's got, you know, it's apart from the interlude, it is the shortest track on the album. It is the fastest track on the album.
Yeah,
and it's like. And it's very much, you know, it sounds like very much, you know, that very fast hardcore punk. Apparently they just love playing this live. This is one of their favourite songs to play live. Yeah. You know,
yeah, and then I hear something like this and it's just like I said, I just, you know, vomited up the 4 bands it sounds like, and, you know, with the current trend, it's just like, because at this point I'm already, let's see, like 22, 23. So, and it's the point where I'm getting away from popular music because, it's all so old and it's nothing like what I listened to, which was Oasis, which clearly didn't mean to be like other bands from the past, you know, especially like the Beatles or... It's a cycle. It's a cycle thing, and you get over it, and you just like... Everything comes from everything, but it didn't interest me just because, like, I don't know, it doesn't. There are bands that speak to you, and there are bands that don't speak to you, and there's something about this that doesn't speak to me. Like, I mean, it's certainly more than like Panic at the Disco or Fall Out Boy, because they're just like catty. It feels like they're catty scene kids who are just like do all the drugs, you know. Wear all the clothes, whether male or female, and whatever else, and they did all the things, but they can't remember what they did. But, you know, they're outside, like, the experience of being, like, the man or something. They were just in this. Like, I do not relate to that. This is a little more, I want to say personal. There is a, you know, layer of safety glass, like, the Panic at the Discos and the Fall Out Boys put away from, like, you know, what they actually feel in their heart, because, you know, they're very arch, they're very keeping away from, like, I don't want to say real feelings, because that sounds like too, like, I'm sure what they're feeling at the time is, but, you know, serious, like, super serious, like, relationship stuff, super serious, like, we just ruined our fucking lives or something like that.
Yeah. There was a sense. There is a sense too, particularly at least on 3 Cheers, where like a lot of this is, you know, if you know, it's far less, you know, theatrical. Don't get me wrong. There is a theatrical element to 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. However, it's like, you know, that old maxim of write what you know, or and obviously I don't think Gerard Way has gone around killing hundreds of people, but at least as far as we know. I think it's more like there is a sense of the I am abstracting what I have done for like the last year and a half, which is go extremely cold turkey whilst having to tour. This and having to stay on the bus because I can't go. This is or paraphrasing a quote of his, but I happen to stay on the bus because I get off the bus. There's like somebody handing me a beer within like 5 steps. This is this is fucking torture.
Of all people, Dan Avidan from Game Grumps has like the best quote. Like it's easy to understand how people can get into drugs on tour because you're just in a bus all day and you're in a different location every day, and that makes you vulnerable to things. That makes you bored, for one thing, and that makes you vulnerable to things you would get into, like, drugs or, alcoholism or something like that. So it is a thing that is made to, like, make you bored and then make you go to extremes to overcome boredom.
Yeah. That's part of trying to being on drugs. It's even difficult to get off drugs whilst in that environment. It's like Jesus Christ, obviously, but I like Give 'Em Hell Kid. This was my introduction to the band, and it also there is a so. Full disclosure, Gerard Way in the last few years has come out as non-binary. He uses, they use, he, them, and there is, I cannot see Panic at the Disco going, we're going to write from a female perspective now. It's like, because obviously this is from the female protagonist, and, there is, a far more, can I use the word, MCR felt like the theatricality, they were, theatre kids who made it big, and, there is that theatricality and there is that innate queerness to MCR that I don't think,
like, when you look at Gerard Way in The Black Parade, he looks like Eddie Izzard in the 1997 Avengers movie. Not those Avengers, like the British Avengers, like the terrible one that got a half an hour cut out, so it doesn't make any sense, and it's a lot of dry humor, which I like it more than other people do, but I don't like it. But it's my kind of like dry humor. But the movie sucks. But also Eddie Izzard is in it, and he gets the biggest laugh because like he fucks up like his henchman thing, and then he slams into a wall and then falls down a cliff, but before he does, he does the Wile E. Coyote thing, except he says, "Oh fuck."
I mean obviously that they want obviously one of the next songs on the album also talks about guys in drag, and there is this sense obviously the end has the end also has a reference to there is this sense to MCR, and I think there was certainly a sense to Way's sort of solo album work where it's like fair enough, I have educated my particularly when obviously he did the stuff for the solo album, where obviously he went holy shit, I'm non-binary, cool. And that's
Surprise.
great, yeah, exactly. It's but the Give 'Em Hell Kid is just really fast and frenetic, and I really like it. It's very much that sort of older school style punk sort of sound. Any thoughts?
You're gonna find I don't have a whole lot of thoughts, just because it doesn't speak to me. Like my brain has trouble absorbing it. Like I didn't even realize this was from the female perspective until I'm diving into the lyrics and like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing, because my brain kind of meshes like a lot of the album together. But there are little bits and pieces here that separate themselves from the songs from each other, but it's like even though they're different songs, like this one and to the next one to the end kind of lumps together, and I mean, I know you in your terms it's like I don't know how you would do that. But
they've got that same speed and that same energy. As I said, I can, that is a short song. It's fine.
Yeah.
To the end. Blur reference. William Faulkner influence.
Influences based on a William Faulkner short story.
Very, very, there's a lot of, like, MCRs, as I said, don't just wear their musical references on their sleeve. They very much, wear their their, other influences. There's, like, multiple comic book references in this, which we'll get to. To the End is a great song. It's that Gerard has this very fast sort of patter singing, sort of, I can only describe it as patter singing, sort of sensibility. It is very much that Sprechsang. God, that sounds really highfalutin. I think this has like the best like group of lyrics, which is like these sort of portraits of these very fucked up people.
Yeah, and they wanted to be together, but together they are more fucked up than they are apart.
Yeah, the sort of like the lost in coma and covered in cake, increase the medication, share the vows at the wake. It's like, and then it has that pre-chorus. If you marry me, would you bury me? Would you carry me to the?
They are as much of a they need each other as much as they destroy each other, or something.
Oh God, yeah.
Something to
But also it's like there is there's some bands who they go and they write a song and it's okay, we didn't expect the audience to participate in this. It's like, and then there's stuff like this where it's like, this is just this is a chorus written for stadiums to scream back at you. Yeah.
I just went to the Midnight in Chromeo and they had like a ton of that.
Yeah,
where
and that's how you.
It was kind of a mixed result because I'm in Kansas City and like it was kind of half for the Midnight, half for Chromeo, and there were obviously people who didn't know the other songs. So when they did the chorus, the singers had to like kind of find their people and then put the mic out for like, okay, you're the people who know this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I've seen bands where like you clearly have like half an audience who've come for one band, and you got half an audience who come for another band, and then you get things where like some bands like go, oh my god, you know this song, fantastic, wonderful. Yeah. I really like this song. Again, not my favourite song on the album. We'll get to my favourite song on the album. Yeah. You know what they did? So this is the next track is You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison. This features the vocalist of The Used, who later in 2005, 2005 would do a cover of Under Pressure, because obviously for charity. This is great. I really like, the thing is like, how do I word this? They got this, this is again that sort of like, that sort of. Gerard Way has an ability to like write lyrics how certain, God, yeah, fuck it. It's very novelistic. It's like that's
Well, I mean, it's kind of like pop nerd. I kept going through this album thinking it was like a John Woo film or John Wick. But it's just kind of more... it's a punk John Wick, I guess.
He's like a punk John. It's like it's like Max Payne 2. Yeah, but again, this has got like again. Hey, look, this song is like push-ups in drag, and again, it's like this is this is I like this song, and it's the Burt Kraken really does have that sort of like voice that bounces off Gerard Way, which again would be really really obviously works very well when you're doing Under Pressure later in things. I don't really, surprisingly enough, I don't really have very much apart from this to say. This, apart from like this is a very well written song, and it's queer as hell, and you know,
yeah. But it's it comes off like one of those like action movies where like they're doing this for a woman, but the guys are certainly seem to be more together and more of a with each other than they seem to be with the woman they're trying to get back to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god, I can understand why you got the John Woo reference now. The bullet through a flock of that. Yeah.
Yes.
But
yes.
again, it's got this really really good. Again, Gerard Way turned phrase, which is life is nothing but a dream, and well, I don't go down by my friends, but I'll go down with my friends. And it's like, yeah, okay. Brilliant. This is, the guy can write, like, as I said, the stuff to go on the front of notebooks, and there is, I think I said a little bit, there is this authenticity to it. It's like, this is, Panic at the Disco, obviously, this scene feels like music. How do I? This feels like, Gerard Way is writing for people who are like Gerard Way, who are like, mini Gerard Way, who are like 15, 16 and trying to work out who they are, and, I might like boys and girls, or, I might be, into art, or, I might want to, read William Faulkner. There is a sense of like, this is our crowd, and, this is an album for that crowd. I think in the way that I feel, certainly Fall Out Boy, I feel struggle to, I don't go, I don't have like, I don't have the mental image of a Fall Out Boy fan in the same way that you have a, you could see an MCR fan, I look like an MCR fan.
But they, like the other bands they kind of get lumped with don't tell a story. They set a scene or a mood or a specific like act, but it doesn't like tell a story the same way Gerard Way tells a story.
Yeah. And now we come to the big single.
I'm Not Okay, which is one of the songs I can differentiate. I promise.
Yeah.
Which I can differentiate because this is a song that has a separate kind of sensibility and attitude and goal than the rest of the album. This is not like whatever mess this created between the two people. This is what he calls like pop emo.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. You could. This is like, there is a different sense to this. Like the sound of this is different. And yeah, the sound is different on this track to the rest of the album. The rest of the album is very guitar. Very like the production style on this is different. You can hear. I don't know if this is like they always had an idea of this as the single or whatever. So this is this is the lead single from the album. This is sort of like, this is one of these songs I feel like there is that sort of subgenre. This is fucking great.
Okay. I mean, I'm not like into this. I'm not like part of this, but it certainly has this way of speaking to somebody who is going through like exactly like this, and not like talking as someone as like the boilerplate. Are you okay? And do you want to talk about it? Or this is like, no, I know exactly what this is, and I'm not okay. I promise. It's just like, yes, this is. Yes, I understand.
Yeah, and also this stands apart from like the rest of the narrative. It's like this is like a little interlude. This has nothing really to do with it. I think the thing that sort of sums MCR up as a band is on the music video. On the music video, there is this, and obviously played this when we were originally going to do the episode, and it goes, "You like D&D, Audrey Hepburn, Fangoria, Harry Houdini, and Croquet. You can't swim, you can't dance, and you don't know karate. Just face it, you're never going to make it." And it's like, this is like, you know, an entire portrait of like, you know, a clique. You know, this is very much, you know, this is there is this in between banter song, in between song banter. I think with MCR, because obviously I have like a lot of MCR like bootleg stuff, and it's like, you know, you better not, you know, it's like I think the one of the between the songs there's this little bit of banter, like, you know, do you want to come backstage and talk about Star Wars? And that's, you know, the sensibility of MCR, where they are very much, you know, they are geeks, they are unrepentantly geeks, and, you know, I'm not okay sort of like floats between, you know, the sort of almost Heathers-esque, you know, portrait of American, you know, high school, you know, the sensibility of, you know, hey, you know, popularity isn't everything, you know, bloody hell, this is Heathers, you know, this is very much, you know, the sensibility of this, and then you have the bridge, and it's just like, you know, which is like, I think the defining pre-Black Parade MCR, which is like the you know, the I'm okay.
And I'm sorry if you hear my cat is Kino is going through his screamo phase.
He's going through. He wants to sing along.
He's been screaming at the door for an hour, so I'm letting him in because he wants Dad, and Dad. Nobody else is going to do it. It has to be Dad. So he is going to be hanging out and occasionally be yelling.
Yeah, we have a guest now. Yes. Anyway, but yeah, this, you know, that's the thing is, you know, this is like, you know, that. Because I think, like, this is the other thing, like, a lot of this emo pop punk thing was for people who were not popular at school. It's like, you know, that whole sensibility of, you're not popular at school, you're never going to make it, you know, don't worry about being popular, because here's your little crowd of people who are just as weird as you, and, you know, hey, we do music for you, hey. But I'm Not Okay is fantastic. It also has like the best single art I think MCR ever did, which is, this is just slightly ominous, you know, bit of Gerard Way doodling, which is really, really, really cool. Anyway, Joe, any thought? This is on Rock Band, isn't it?
Probably, I don't know.
Yeah,
like I have one Rock Band, and that was the one that they put all of Dig Out Your Soul by Oasis on. And like I have to keep this on my Xbox 360 because all of it is gone. So if my Xbox 360 Red Rings of Death, then it's gone forever. So yeah. But I thought I could do Falling Down perfectly, but the vocalists for Rock Band are way different than how it judges you. It's way different than Rock Band. And Rock Band is way more forgiving because I can do perfect on 9 Inch Nails' capital G of all goddamn things on Rock Band, but on you know, the hardest setting, but not rock, but not well. Okay. Yeah. Never mind. Let's move on.
Move on. Next track. Ghost of You. This is again very different vibe. Yeah. Like
very different, and this is my favorite song on the album.
I am not surprised it is your favorite song on the album.
Yeah, because this is it turns itself inward instead of screaming outward.
Yeah. Interesting fact about this music video, it cost $1 million. It references Watchmen, It is the final single from the album. The music video of this is okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically a sort of Saving Private Ryan-esque thing. It's fantastic. It cost, as I said, $1 million to make. They basically made a film and then edited it down. The music video is like the least about this. This I feel is almost a sense of where things were going on the next album. Like, this sounds more like what would be coming next on, like, the Black Parade. It's that far more. The scale of this is a lot bigger than everything else.
Yes, it's bigger, which I definitely sensed, and there is this feeling of turning what's on your feeling on the inside into the biggest thing ever. And, like, you know, a lot of this album just feels like lashing out just, like, at whatever emotion is on the surface, like, right fucking now. But this is, like, wondering how we got here and why it's like this. And, you know, it's extremely good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, there is, you know, this is a reminder that Gerard Way, like, when he's not screaming, can actually be a really damn good really good emotive vocalist. Again, this seems to be like, you know, there is this sense of, like, particularly on this and Helena, which I think are both entwined with, obviously, the figure of their grandmother, who I think was obviously ailing and not well, obviously, when they were touring, and there is this sense of, like, real guilt about, okay, we were off doing, like, this big thing where we were very, you know, very popular, and I was doing a lot of drugs, and I regret doing a lot of drugs. You know, there is this guilt on, particularly on this and Helena, where it's like, he's you know, you can this becomes very autobiographical and very, you know, personal. I think.
Yeah, and it has that personal feeling in it too, because this is not just like, this is a topic, and you know, we're going into this, like, John Wick revenge thing. This is actually like, okay, this is what's going on in my head right now, and this is what I'm feeling, and this is how we got here. And, like, and I very much like songs like this, where it's just like, you know, projecting the deepest parts to, you know, a massive scale, and pulling it off is kind of some of my favorite music. So, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm ADHD, so I like things that sound big. And, like, like the Todd in the Shadows will say the I'm Back Bitch single. I love those, even though they're just, like, big noise. But this has a lot of substance to it, too, which, you know, makes up a lot of my favorite songs. It's just, like, the biggest things in the world is the smallest moment we have right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like this track. I mean, I am highly surprised that this is your favourite track on the album. It has a very, you know, the very Joe dynamics, where it's like, this sounds radically different from the rest of the album, and in a good way. Yes. Yeah, speaking
it's also my ADHD, because, like, my ADHD will, the best I can compare it to is if you're playing a point-and-click adventure game. Like, it starts out and you can click on everything and you can check everything, but, you know, after 30 minutes, you start to be able to click on less and less items, and eventually the plot essential items you can't click on, because everything just blends together and it's too much processing. And that's kind of what happens when I listen to, like, bands that sound the same over and over again. And, you know, and weirdly enough, my favorite Foo Fighters is In Your Honor disc 1, which is just like
Yeah.
all just
Rage.
the hardest rock ever.
Yeah.
There's ironically that, but like I like dynamic bands that can change what they do but still maintain their identity, which is why I love the Midnight so much, just because they're because like they have so many different songs where they are themselves, but they have different moods. Like they're going all over the 80s and 90s and just finding themselves in all of these little things and these bands and these people that were very different at the time, but they have connections now.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to do that record at some point, just as an addendum.
Well, we already did Endless Summer.
Oh yeah,
we did.
I mean, in your honor, that's a hell of a record.
Okay.
Yeah. Next track, "The Jet Set Life Is Gonna Kill You." Well, it actually almost did. This is a song about lots and is about addiction. Yeah, this is. The dynamics of this are far more tight. You know, there's a very squashed. I can only describe it as a squash sound. It's very, you know, confessional and very, you know, the way that his voice is mixed on this is like almost like, you know,
there is
in a box,
digital
sort of
distortion to it.
Yeah. It's
Am I thinking of another song where they deliberately do that?
Yeah, no, the dynamics on this. I think it might be this song. This is about the drugs. Yeah, and the addiction and the the fact that this almost killed him. Yeah. If I've got one thing to say, I like the sound of like the backing track on this, and it's got a couple of really Gerard-ish sort of like pronunciations. Like the Hotel Belle Muerte bit is very, you know, Gerard.
Muerte.
The Hotel Belle Muerte, you know, the Hotel of Beautiful Death. This is, for me, I think the weakest. I don't want to say the weakest track. This is like the track I tend to just be. It's part of the narrative, and there's a couple of really, you know, good music moments, but it's sort of like it sort of chugs along at its own speed, doing this thing, and then stops.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is like being on, you know, is like an addiction. It's like, you know, you're stuck in this rut, you know, trying to think. I like the drums on this, weirdly enough. It's got that very. There's a drum sound. Obviously, the drummer on this is obviously Matt Pallister, who was with the band for the first two albums and then got replaced by Bob Breyer for the. And he's got really nice drum playing style, but it's a very early mid 2000s, very clicky drum thing that obviously a lot of that, you know, metal and hard rock of that era did. You know, for example, it's all over like a lot of the Avenged Sevenfold records, where you can just hear this drum go click 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 click, click you know, in the background.
It has a very like the part in the rock opera where they have to go through plot stuff and there's not really a melodies, so they just have the singer like singing the plot to a beat, or like, you know, there's a lot of this in Repo the Genetic Opera, or it's not like it's like that part of it, but it isn't. It like it certainly has a melody, it's certainly a song, but it just like has that feeling that it's just keeping the mood, it's kind of syncing the mood back up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, also, I fucking love that you also know what Repo the Genetic Opera is. Fantastic film, fantastic soundtrack. You know, can recommend. It's got this sort of like, you know, this is like the one of these you know, patter songs in an opera where it's like, you know, the male killer takes us aside and, you know, does a little bit of like a not an oracho, but it's like, you know, the sort of confessional song to the audience. You know, my addiction to this woman is killing me. What the fuck, you know, sort of song. You know that, you know, and I feel like there has to be, you know, it can't be all go all the time, and you know, it's this obviously is then followed by the interlude, which is a little guitar piece.
Little guitar piece, and they know of a band named Radiohead.
Yes, this is
This sounds like a Radiohead song.
Yeah, moreover, a Radiohead song from like the Bend, Pablo Honey era. It's like, yeah, this isn't like Kid A sort of sounding stuff. Yeah, we'll mention that later. Yeah, anyway, nice little interlude, you know. I cannot genuinely remember if they've ever played this live, apart from as the album as a whole. It's like, you know, it does what it needs to do. It's like, here is a little interlude track. The MCR do love their little interlude tracks, because there's also one on Bullets, which is just called they also do Romance, which is just an instrumental. You know, they do love their little guitar workout tracks. You know, it's fair enough. You know, they're a guitar band. Thank you for the Venom.
And now we're back on track here.
We're back. And we start off with a Morrissey reference. Yeah.
Oh, great. Morrissey.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Morrissey quickly passed it. Thank you for the Venom. I like recurring words around My Chemical Romance, because the line in French also appears in the in-tray or the liner tray for for Bullets under the French. What's the French? 1 second. Merci pour le venin, which is like, you know.
You never want me to speak French. Don't make me say it.
No. Merci pour le venin. Yeah, it's a song about being extremely angry. This is very much, you know, the angry side of the band, I think, you know. It's about critics, because...
Yeah. At least they can disguise it, unlike M. Night Shyamalan. Kino, you have something you would like to share with the class? Otherwise, I'm going to get you off the desk now.
Kino wants to listen.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's very much, you know, the fuck you critics. What do you know? You create something. There's also like elements about, you know, organized religion, which is like, you know, preach all you want, but who's going to say, may I keep a gun on the book that you gave me? Hallelujah, lock and load. You know,
There's a very 9 Inch Nails quality about that.
Yeah, it's like fuck. Yeah, it's a very, you know, but it's also like it fits into the narrative of like, you know, your religion couldn't save her. I'm gonna go and make a deal with the devil, and you know, I'm gonna kill a lot of people. The chorus of this is great, by the way. Again, it's another really anthemic-y, you know, so give me all your poison, give me all your pills, and give me all your hopeless hearts, and make me ill, which is just, you know, you can't fix me, nothing can stop me, yeah, etc. Yeah, we'll just move on that one. Really, you know, good start to the second half of the record. I fucking love the single cover for this, by the way, which is, again, Gerard art, and, you know, very angular and very spiky.
Very angular and very non-binary, if I might say
yeah,
so.
I'm not looking at that. I cannot tell if that is I think that may even be deliberate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Hang 'em High. This is a reference to the title of this is a reference to the Clint Eastwood film of the same name. It has a very cowboyish sound. Ding ding ding. You know, that sort of slightly twangy guitar. Sort of go. You know, wait until it fades.
I mean, it kind of gets overwritten by, you know, the rest of it, but
yeah. And obviously it opens with the wait until it fades to black, right into the sunset. You know, very. This is where we start to also get like the really, you know, the more screamy end of Gerard's thing. You know, that sort of like, you know, particularly on like the pre-chorus where it's like shotgun singers, Wilder Joker's got you in my sight. Where he's always going to like yeah, like a harsher range of the. And again, he can the fast when he goes fast. It's like that it's really really good. Yeah. Again, nice part of the thing has again like a hell of a line, which is the mass convulsions strike the cat choir by the grace of God. The speed and that sort of very clattering drum sound really does go very impressively. I'm surprised I don't actually find. This also features of all things one of the ex-vocalists from Black Flag, which is like one of the really early hardcore punk bands. Frank Era apparently just cornered him in a gas station and basically dragged him to the studio to do extra vocals. It's like that's
kidnapping. No, I'm kidding.
No, Frank, no. Come back. Yeah, great track. This is like the second half of this is so much angrier than the
it kind of blends together for me because it is just like angry, it is fast, it is like building up to like whatever the ending is, and it's just like from Hang 'em High to through Cemetery Drive, it kind of mishes over me. Like I never told you what I do for a living is kind of the ending, so I remember it so much, and it's just like especially like the chorus or the pre-chorus or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like the back half. The first half of the album is like fantastic. The second half is actually more my favorite because it is just this sense of like growing, just frustration and anger and fury. And
if you couldn't tell, like Thom here has a problem like expressing his fury. Like you don't get very varied expressions of fury from him. Like
no,
it needs to be expressed by the music he listens to, because like you don't get fury off this guy. You don't get revenge. Like I can do that. You get little points. I've spent decades managing like anger and like trying to bat down my temper, but I do have it, and you can see it in spurts even on this show where I am fine, I am okay, I am with a person who is my good friend, and we both understand each other, but I do have a temper, and it does come out, and it does show up very sharply.
And I just listen to angry music all the fucking time. This is like to indicate how heavy I like my music. This is probably, if we would have a sliding scale of like the really angry shit I like, this is about 1/3 of the way in. This is like, this is what I listen to just like when I'm writing or when I'm doing other things. This is like the not stomping around music. This is like this is background music for me. It's not a fashion statement, it's a death wish, also known as it's not a fashion statement, it's a fucking death wish. Depending on, this is actually
very Fallout Boy title again.
Yeah. Starts with a Sandman quote. Awkward nowadays given certain things, but
okay.
Christ, this is my favourite song on the album, which should interest and worry. But it's the ferocity of this is really it's sort of like this is about a relationship falling apart, and this is the first song that was written for Three Cheers, which does not surprise me at all. And it's basically the sense of the relationship falling apart. It's like the in the narrative, the sense of oh god, what am I doing? Why am I killing thousands of hundreds of people
for this, because it's not like that Crow remake, which the relationship was good. It's actually, no, we were actually very toxic together, and why am I going through this hell to bring this back now? Oh fuck, what did I do? I did it. I did a shitty thing again.
Yep. Yeah. Gerard Way's voice on this is like the harsh. I mean, well, I say that. Gerard Way, like a couple of years or so ago, did an album with Matt Heafy of Trivium, where Gerard Way just does full-on Norwegian black metal vocals for 8 minutes, and it's like, the guy can scream and do all of the vocal unpleasantness, and like as well as anybody can. This is like just genuinely just pure fury as a song, and the first two lines of this, do you remember that day when we met? You told us this gets harder. Well, it did. Oh boy, that's lines I've come back to several times, going, yeah, that's like, and obviously the next couple have been holding on for promise me that when I've gone, you'll kill my enemies. This is nasty. This is somebody who is now at the end of their mental tether, basically realizing, oh fuck, I've been killing hundreds of people for the devil. Yeah.
The devil tricked me. Who would have thought?
Who would have thunk it?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Gerard Way. I have a very matter-of-fact way of dissecting songs sometimes.
Yeah,
it's fair. Not just you. It's everybody. It's like I have this thing where I didn't do it for My Chemical Romance, but I will like change the lyrics to the literal meaning, and it takes over the version of the song. I'm not going to do anything, because then you'll just whenever you hear the song in a grocery store, you're just going to do the literal version, and people will stare at you. People will judge you.
What grocery stores are you going to that play My Chemical Romance, Joe?
Well, no, it's not My Chemical Romance. It's like other like adult
popular
like the
popular
modern
song.
version of adult contemporary, which is this weird
slop.
Which is this weird blob of we're actually trying to be younger, but we aren't. But let's pretend. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah,
like all about that bass. All about that bass, that kind of stuff.
Oh, no.
Like
God.
Where I get so irritated that I will just like, bass is code for ass, bass is code for ass.
We've now ruined one
yep.
song.
And then there's blurred. Oh, well, this may not be in grocery stores, but then there's blurred lines, which when they shout the chorus, I go, date rape. And that will immediately replace whatever you.
No, I've still got word crimes stuck in.
Okay, word crimes. That's okay, because Weird. I did not realize how brilliant Weird Al was. Like, just clear brilliance until like you hear that song and it's just like, oh my god, he is actually just like 1000% brilliant. And it's like, it's not that I didn't realize it before, but you do it. It's context, like you get this context, and it just suddenly everything fits together. Like, this guy's brilliant.
And then Robin Thicke ruined sampling for everyone forever.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
Also got one of my other favorite My Chemical Romance. Like the fucking entire back half of this song is just full of quotes that I have come back to and gone. I mean, this is like, I gotta confess, like, I am far less edgy and far less. I mean, I was never particularly like an edgy teenager. Like, I was quite well behaved and wore no eyeliner and, yeah. I mean, as I said, I never saw this, but I saw MCR live because I was very much like, no, this is too dark for me. This is where, but fantastic song. One of my favorite like MCR songs. Like, thank God we're not doing the Black Parade like now, because I like the it would be me changing what my favourite song was every 5 minutes, because oh god, that is such a brilliant album. Cemetery Drive. This is actually like the downbeat song. This is like this is actually, if Ghost of You is obviously like a vision of what will come later on the Black Parade. This is almost back into the Bullet sound, I think. It's that very clicky drum track, and the very raw production on this.
Yeah. And like, I don't know how well this fits the narrative, because like, it's in the dress your husband hates, and it's just like, is the guy wearing the dress? Is there another girl here that was involved in this? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've lost the plot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think this is where the plot starts to like go a little bit, and it's like, it falls into, is this still the same narrative we're on? It goes back to the sort of the Faulkner-esque aspects of To the End, and who is is this now about MCR the band? Is this now about the group of the thing? Is this about having to deal with life on the road? This is I mean, the album concept is very loose at the best of times, and compared to the obviously compared to the Black Parade, is obviously only applies to some of the songs, and some of the songs are like more oblique. Yeah. But also has just the hell of the line that I miss you so far, and the collision of your kiss that made it so hard, which is just like, holy shit, that's a line. Also apparently
and it certainly has like the proper emotional grounding for some of these things, like Fall Out Boy, like they'll sometimes get joyful about like things about suicide. I mean, I know they're not like serious about it; they're just projecting something. But it's just like when Gerard Way says singing the songs that make you slit your wrist. That's like you actually believe that from him, and it's not like some sort of act, or it's some sort of like exaggeration.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely the loaded gun, given that at like 15 he was held at gunpoint. It's like, this is, again, writing from experience. Good song. Again, I feel it like, but this is like, again, the voice is almost like a croak on this. It's like, he's genuinely genuinely sounds depressed.
Yeah.
Just tired and low.
And it kind of gets lost, because you have the previous hard song, and then you have the like, cap of the entire experience after it. So it's just like it kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Which is I never told you what I do for a living, which ends the album except on the Japanese pressing, which also includes the track "Bury Me" in black, which is not on most streaming services, and certainly not on my copy. Lucky Japan.
It was on YouTube.
Again. Oh, fair enough. I didn't listen to it. I've actually never. I was not aware there was like an extra track. Yeah, this is like the coalescing back of the theme, and oh shit, I did a deal with the devil, the 1000th evil man. It was me. Oh no. Yeah.
Oh no, it was me who has to die. Or both of us.
Yeah,
it was you and me. We both have to die, and we'll be the 1000th. Like,
oh look, we will be reunited, and yes, really, again, it's really well put together piece of song, and it's like that sort of like the when it gets to like that pre-chorus, and it goes the second half of this is probably some of the best music MCR has ever done as a band. That and never again they give us 2 shots at the back of the head and we're all dead now, but also just like the chorus of this, which is just like and we'll all dance again to the tune of the we'll love again, we'll love. That bit is just, really again like quotable. Considering it's like the stains of blood and very Macbethian imagery.
Yeah.
Dark, the sort of darkness. Really, really good, end to the album, and sort of, pulls all the themes nicely together. Very dark ending, considering, like, the, yeah. Like, it's like, how good, supremely good, like, section, where he's like, again, it's like, very anthemic, sensibility. And that's the end of the album.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I love this record. This is like the thing. I knew coming out into this, like, this is music I think that speaks to, my half of the millennial generation, I think, more than yours, Joe. And that's not like a critique of, the album. That is how music works. This is, music that really speaks to, a group of, I think, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are MCR fans of your age, and I'm sure, I mean, there are definitely MCR fans of, much, much younger than us,
Yes.
But it is, for that era, for that sort of mid-2000, era, it's sort of like, I'm struggling to think of a better record in that sort of, sense of, this is what it's like to be a young person in this era. Okay, yeah, absolutely, there is the surrounding artifice of the concept in this, and I don't think many people who've listened to this have going, oh no, my girlfriend is dead, I must go out and like kill 1,000 evil men to rescue her, because that doesn't happen. But it can feel like the even breaking up with somebody can feel like at that age a world-ending event, which you would do anything to do it. And I feel that MCR knew that, and I feel like there is a sensibility to this record that it is speaking to a certain demographic of that generation, as I think few albums of that period did.
Yeah, and it kind of got lost in like the post-punk, post-whatever you want to call it mix for me. Like when I'm just like, MTV is reality television now. Like, I'm not listening to the radio. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be me, and whatever else your mid-20s do. That like just it's all a bunch of bullshit. It's just like you've been handed the reins and you don't know how to drive this thing. Sort of thing, and then you eventually figure it out, hopefully. I mean, some folk do, but it's like it I don't know, I get caught in a lot of different like people. Like, I'm Generation Y would be the best description. It's just like we've taught our parents how to use the computer. Oh God, what have we done? We are so sorry. We are so goddamn sorry. And
oh God,
we're trying to make up for whatever mess we created and whatever like ironic 90s detachment that we've had, that we realized probably did more harm than good. And
absolutely.
And and it didn't surprise me that there was just like this backlash to like My Chemical Romance, and it's emo, you feel so much, and blah blah blah, because there was just like so much of this ironic detachment, and we're adults, we understand everything, but we didn't understand everything, did we? So like there is that separation, but and this is like definitely would speak to people younger.
Yeah. Hi.
younger. Like it's hi. But like, I mean, I get it. It's fine. Like I said, I listen to it. I accept it. It's like it kind of blends together for me, which doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it doesn't speak to me specifically in my kind of pain or my kind of anger or my kind of anything. But
yeah.
But as an edgy adult, and being an edgy adult, it is just like pointing out when people make mistakes and asking people to take responsibility for those mistakes. That is being an edgy adult. And that like, there's so many people who are just like, why are you like this? What? I mean, why can't we just... What is wrong with you? And it's just like, seems simple to me.
Yeah,
so,
and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I certainly would never regard MCR as being a ironically detached band.
No.
They're almost, almost too attached to, their, what they, this is very hard on sleeve stuff. And, I feel that it is, I mean, this album is 20 years old and it still feels, emotionally resonant, and I love this record. I love this record. I prefer the Black Parade, but I think that is perhaps because the Black Parade sort of speaks a little bit more to my extremely
well, it goes into the like Pink Floyd. It goes to the
theatricality,
the theatricality, and the music that makes you feel bigger or deeper or something like that. It connects to like at a deeper level. I don't want to say this is surface, but there is a very like visceral feeling out of this.
Oh god,
and and there is a much more, I don't want to say subconscious, but there's a very like we're going down past the iceberg. And we're finding how deep it goes, like underneath it, part of the Black Parade. Like this. I mean, I don't know. This feels like a John Woo movie, and Black Parade feels like if John Woo made an artful film and it was fucking fantastic. I don't know.
Yes. As I said, I fucking love this album. I will always fucking love this album. One day I will see My Chemical Romance live. God damn it. Yeah, I think that's my views on it. We will inevitably review the Black Parade at some point because that's how my brain works. And I go, no, we are going to do the big one. Which means I can, I could probably go and shoot video and just go, look, I have one of the band leader jackets. I look very cool in it. Yeah. I mean, we're not going to talk about like how much this band is influenced by like personal style and like what I think is visually cool. We'll move. Yeah. The cemetery, the Desolation Row video, for example. Goddamn, that is a cool video. Which is surprising because it's directed by Zack Snyder. Anyway, Joe, what are we talking about next?
Well, I'm picking up a scent here, and the scent is your destruction smells of corruption.
Oh,
so, boy. What I'm gonna do is for my choices, I'm going to make us do the album "How to Operate with a Blown Mind" by Low Fidelity All Stars.
Oh boy, this is like the 180 flip, and it's like
we're doing a 180 flip. Have you kids ever heard of dark disco? Well, you probably haven't because this record only happened once, and then the band completely changed twice. So,
oh boy,
yeah.
This should be an interesting episode because I know of the Low Fidelity All Stars. I don't think I've ever heard this album.
You've heard a song. You have definitely heard a song from it, but you haven't heard the rest of it.
Yeah. Anyway, but we will be talking about that next music episode. We will be talking anime at some point, potentially before the end of the year, probably or early next year, when we talk about Bakano. Joe will then obviously make his next pick for his anime episode. Just to remind you how the format
what that
works.
is.
Just to remind you how the format works. As I said earlier in the episode, we have got one more episode anniversary-wise for before the end of the year, which is the 45th anniversary of Pink Floyd's The Wall, which should be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to end this. Do I just like go to Satan and kill 1,000 people until we get back to our next episode? Is that what I'm supposed to do here?
That could take some time, Joe. I think it's better if we. I think it's better if we just we just sit here and wait for the next My Chemical Romance album. That might be quicker. We will see
I'll
you
just
on
put,
the next.
I'm gonna put on the dress your husband hates. Okay, how about that?
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. We will see you on the next episode. I've been Tom.
I've been Joe.
This has been the Thom and Joe Show. See you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.